Dolphin fans. Let's go! What is good, Finn Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one as I'm coming to you live from a new location in my homestead as we get our whole basement renovated and your boy's office gets built. So right now I'm chilling in the upstairs office. Hopefully the sound should be a little bit better since there's not much space. My voice isn't getting lost in the space for all of you guys. So hopefully I do sound a little bit better for all of y'all. But, man, day 4 of training camp has wrapped after quite the eventful day yesterday. It was very, 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 very eventful. And we got a lot to talk about just in the opening sequence here alone. So I appreciate all of you coming out. Please do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. The first thing I'm going to say, though, before we get into everything, if you are a Patreon or a channel member, go to the community tab. If you're a Patreon, go to the Patreon page. I wasn't going to do it, but I've decided to open fantasy football this year. And the reason why I wasn't going to do it, it's not that I don't love doing it. It's that just with PayPal, with the fees, exchange rate, I always end up like paying more than the entry fee, much more than the entry fee every year. And I was kind of like, I don't know, but a lot of people have been bugging me. So here's what I did. Patrons and channel members, you have until midnight tonight. Well, at least I'll tell them live tomorrow, I guess, when the pads come on for the Dolphins. But tonight is going to be the last day for Patrons and channel members to have first come, first serve. Then tomorrow, I'm going to open it up to everyone. Now, here's the deal. 12-man, I got two 12-man leagues. One league is already one spot away from being filled up, meaning there's only about 12 spots in total left right now. So Patreons, channel members, another benefit you guys have, you get the first dibs. So until I'm live tomorrow when I open it up to everyone, Patreons, channel members, if you want to join, go ahead and follow the instructions under the community tab and also on the Patreon page. Otherwise, tomorrow it's going to be first come, first serve, open to the public to fill the remaining spots. All right. So just some quick housekeeping on all of that. Now, furthermore, let's get into this. Dalvin Cook right now. Dalvin Cook is visiting with the Jets. He even came onto the field, I believe, during practice at one point today, and fans were cheering for him over there and chanting his name and such. And on top of that, what's happening? Exactly what I predicted. His market is getting oversaturated by the minute now. And what's happening to him is this. Now Jonathan Taylor is available. Now, albeit Jonathan Taylor is going to be much more expensive, but another running back has hit the market and is available to be had. We still don't know what the Raiders are going to do with Josh Jacobs and his price tag. His franchise tag. We don't know if they're going to rescind it because I've been quietly told they're tanking for Caleb Williams. So we don't know what the Raiders are going to do with Josh Jacobs. I mean, that could be another body that essentially hits the market. But let's just look at next year. Here's the free agent running backs just next year. Saquon, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler, and maybe Dalvin Cook, depending on what he signs. That is 6 of the top 10, top 12 running backs in the NFL are going to be made available. Finisher, how to join the channel is if you look right next to the subscribe button, there should be a join button as well. If you hit join, boom, there you go. It'll take you right through it. Easiest way to do it is through your desktop. So that's, there's going to be so many bodies and that market's going to be so overly saturated that, I don't really know what to say in terms of right now with Dalvin Cook, even with Jonathan Taylor, man. No one's going to listen. Let's talk about Jonathan Taylor for a little bit. All I will say, because I have some information on this, and all I will say right now, I have much more information than I'm going to tell all y'all, but all I'm going to say is when Irsay was making his comments earlier in the week, okay, when he was making his belligerent comments earlier in the week, I know for a fact his agent was not happy, and I know, how do I word this? I know there was potential interest in an inquiry on the situation. So I know a lot more than that, but I'm not going to go into the details because I was told not to go into all the details quite yet. But, listen, again, from where you're going to ask me, do I think it's a realistic possibility? Well, anything can happen. But I'll say this, Dalvin Cook is cheaper. Dalvin Cook just costs money. Jonathan Taylor, because the word on the street that's coming out now, okay, first of all, the word on the street is Jonathan Taylor's asking the Colts for $16 to $18 million a year. The other word on the street is that ESPN Stephen Holder noted that if they were to seek a trade, they'd be asking for an early round pick. And this is the whole ironic thing about this. Okay, you don't want to pay him. You don't want to pay him money. You don't want to pay him money. You do not want to pay this man money, but you want someone else to come out and pay a premium in terms of draft pick. Are you for real? Are you honestly for real? I know the whole thing, you might have the right, you might be able to. I mean, even FanDuel, they have a trade up here right now, 2nd round to 6th round pick and Jeff Wilson for Jonathan Taylor. You know what I mean? Like, a second, a 6th, and and then you got to pay him. And then you got to pay him. And, I don't know where I sit on paying Jonathan. Listen, everyone knows when I started in this community, in that 2020 draft, there were 3 players I said I wanted with those first-round draft picks. I wanted Tua, Tristan Wirfs, and Jonathan Taylor. Okay? We got the chance to write the Noah Igbinoghene pick. I get that. But remember, I always go back to this. Bill Parcells, one of his golden rules was never pay twice for a player. Never pay draft picks and then turn around and have to pay a whole bunch of money. And we've already done that twice in the last 365 days. Need I remind you, that's exactly what we did for Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb. At one point, you're going to have to start using these draft picks and start replenishing your roster because guess what? Here's the deal. Good teams do that. You can't just go out and buy everyone. This is, there is a salary cap in place for a reason. That's why these Super Bowl teams always have a good blend of youth and veterans. Yeah, I'd trade Noah Igbinoghene for him too. So, listen, I'm going to have a Patreon update. I'm going to have another episode of 3 Takes, and I might potentially do a written portion of it. I don't know yet. But I'm going to have another episode, an update, coming tonight based on how this whole thing in New York plays out. Because right now, it is 4:36 p.m. Eastern, and we're coming in on 5 o'clock, and there's no deal done in New York with Dalvin. And I'm sure the Jets might not have been thrilled of this guy going on a media tour before he came and visited them. And, let me just say this. Listen, guys. If we lowballed Dalvin Cook, do you really think there's a high probability this team's going to give up draft picks and pay resetting or top tier running back money to Jonathan Taylor? The math don't math on that one for me. You know what I mean? I that's just how I see it. That's just my opinion. So I wouldn't get overly excited, or hyped up about a potential Jonathan Taylor to Miami. Now, again, anything's possible. And I do know there, before all this stuff popped off, there was yesterday, I know because of Irsay's tweets and stuff, there were, conversations had. So anyways, I'll kind of go into a little bit more detail on that when I go into when I do the Patreon, when I drop the next episode of 3 Takes. Probably going to do that tonight for all of y'all. So we'll see. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy situation right now, and the market just continues to get saturated. So we'll see how it all works out. What do we got today? Well, we're going to go over all of training camp. We got about 5 minutes worth of highlights. A lot of good highlights came out today. Thankful that the fans were out there to provide some good highlights. We're going to go over, as we do, the whole recap from every outlet. So y'all are the most informed, because I've spoken to people who were there today. And there's clearly agendas at play in this community still, because from people I talked to who were there today, they're reporting totally different things than what some people in this community are claiming or reporting happened today. So shout out to the finisher for joining the All-Pro. So, you know, we'll see how it goes, but I heard great things today. I heard great things about Kader Kohou and Cam Smith. Devin Achane looked explosive. I heard Tua was sharp. You know, I heard some good things. Tyreek looked like he was back to his normal self. That quarterback 2 battle is really amping up, and we'll go over that. So, and we're going to go everything. And then we got, I believe, the full segment of Tua on the NFL Network today, too, to go over for all of you guys. So we got a lot to go over. But let's start off with some roster news, that being that the Dolphins signed Eli Apple and they activated Isaiah Wynn off the PUP list. So start with the latter, Isaiah Wynn. I said he needed to get back before the pads came on for that competition, and lo and behold, the pads come on tomorrow, and Isaiah Wynn has been activated, and he's good to go. That is fantastic news, as he can continue to battle at left guard, fill in at left tackle, and battle with Kendall Lamb. A lot of opportunity for Isaiah Wynn. I heard Eichenberg at times today was a disaster. Okay, I heard Eichenberg was not good today. Now, Eli Apple. People want to know what I think about Eli Apple. Listen, I wasn't going live yesterday over us adding Eli Apple. Let me be the first one to tell you all that, okay? We're not talking about a needle mover. You can't replace Jalen Ramsey. But I will say this. I'm very interested to see how he works out here. I mean, you go back to 2022, the 2021-2022 season, he had the lowest passer rating allowed in man coverage that year. He only allowed a 22.6 passer rating in man coverage. Now, last year was not so pretty, all right? Last year, he allowed a 101.5 passer rating overall into his coverage, had just 2 picks, and was beaten for 11 touchdowns. Now, he has 22 forced incompletions over the last few years starting. But the guy gets beat. You know, he's had over his 2 years starting, he's allowed the 6th most open targets in the league, 63 of them. You know, we'll see. He I got belief in Kader, and I got belief in Cam Smith. I really do. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think Eli going to beat out Cam Smith. I just don't. I think Cam Smith's going to ball out. I think Kader Kohou, I've heard, is just an absolute monster right now. Okay, so Eli Apple, you know, and then Nick Needham got to get back on that field too. So the ideal situation is Eli Apple is depth, Kader mans the slot, and Cam becomes the boundary guy we need him to become. That's the ideal situation, you know, for this season until Ramsey obviously returns, right? So there is that. Now, continuing on here, let's get into the recap. Well, let's start off with the highlights. Now, you know, there's no really pressure to go over because that was Zach Thomas today, right? So let's start off with the highlights from today, and then we will get into the training camp recaps for you, the ones behind paywalls, the ones not behind paywalls, etc. Okay? I got it all for you. So here we go. Let's go into all the highlights from today. We got about 5 minutes worth of highlights. Shout out to everyone, all the fans on Twitter that put those videos out there for everyone. We appreciate all of y'all. Boys hitting the field. Remember, pads on tomorrow, everyone. Woodson, I might be better than Iggy. Never mind Eli Apple. Omar Kelly's second time ever seeing hand fighting. Good for him.
We got such a team. Could Phillips the model for both?
Finisher, we're on Yahoo. God, I love that clown.
We have the most talented roster in the longest time in the NFL right now. We have the best head coach and offensive coordinator in the NFL right now.
Let's go.
We have now the best defensive coordinator in the NFL right now. And last, we have the best fans in the NFL right now.
Check your pulse, baby.
The best means nothing if you don't win right here on this practice field in those meeting rooms. And this is where we need you. We don't need you on just Sundays. We need you every day in this training camp. Let's go!
Bro. Oh, man. Let's go. Whew, there you see Cam Smith putting in the work. Man, if that doesn't get you hyped, I don't know what will. My God. Some one-on-ones all day. Tyreek, one hand, showing it off. Some more one-on-ones for y'all. Cater covered. Here's Mike White to Waddle. This was one of the plays of the day. Beautiful throw. Beautiful throw. Nice throw. Mike White apparently looked way better today. Perfect. Beautiful. Another angle for you. Two in here now. Enough time to Tyreek. Let's go. Another angle. Oh, David. Like butter. Like butter. There's another angle for all y'all right there. Gotta love it. Some red zone work. Tua just threading it over the top. Tua rolling out on the move. Let's go. Mike White in, Achane. Whoop, 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 whoop.
I went to contact and I deleted it.
Ooh, good pass defended right there by Cam Smith. Some red zone work. I believe this is where he finds Cedric. Yeah, he would have been sacked. Found Cedric though, but he would have been sacked.
He left. All these guys were ignoring him. It's like, I'm going over here where it's quiet.
Let's go!
Yeah, he would have been sacked.
Let's go!
There you go.
Cedric!
Found Cedric in the end though. Gotta love it. A lot of good stuff coming out of training camp today. What a day to be there. And the pads come on tomorrow. So it's going to be even better tomorrow. I can't wait. Can't wait, baby. So let's get into day 4. Let's get into the recap from all the outlets here. And let's start off with the Miami Herald. Yeah, the offense had a bounce back day. Let's get into it. I'll show you. We'll go over it right now. So, news and notes and highlights from practice number 4 of the Dolphins training camp. The first one attended by fans in Miami Gardens. Tua Tagovailoa was sharp, opening 11-11 drills by completing a 70-yard pass to Tyreek Hill, who beat Elijah Campbell. The play could have been ruled a sack, but Tagovailoa escaped the pocket and delivered the ball 50 yards in the air, and Hill ran the last 20. A bit later, Tagovailoa threw a short pass to Alec Ingold, who took it in for the 15-yard touchdown in red zone drills. That was the one we saw where he bootlegged out, and then Alex stumbled in. We saw that highlight. Also in red zone drills, Tagovailoa lifted a goal. That was the one in the corner of the end zone to Raheem Mostert that we saw too. We saw that highlight too, where he lifted a gorgeous pass to Raheem Mostert in the corner of the end zone over Kader Kohu. And Tagovailoa had a short TD pass to perennial camp star Salvin Ahmed in red zone drills. Tagovailoa also threw some passes that were well defended, including one that Cam Smith knocked away. We saw that highlight as well. Mike White, competing with Skylar Thompson for the number 2 job, made his best throw of camp on his first attempt on Sunday, a 50-yard pass to Jalen Waddle, beating Keydron Smith. In red zone drills, White also lofted a beautiful throw to Myles Gaskin in the corner of the end zone for a 10-yard touchdown, beating Channing Tindall. White overthrew running back Chris Brooks on a play in which White seemed to have his foot stepped on. White shook it off, then overthrew a pass. White also overthrew Waddle with Eli Apple in coverage. Then White couldn't connect with Cedric Wilson in a red zone drill with Elijah Campbell in coverage. The frustration with White is he will make several good throws, then a bad one, then a good one, then a couple of bad ones. Thompson, who had outplayed White the first 3 days of camp, was on target with a 15-yard pass over the middle to Berrios. Though Thompson was far from perfect Sunday, he threw a touchdown pass to Hill in red zone drills. Isaiah Wynn was removed from the active, physically unable to perform list, meaning he can begin practicing immediately. Wynn was injured training for the season, and he missed the first 3 practices of camp. He offers potential competition or depth at left guard and right tackle. He can also back up Terron Armstead at left tackle with Kendall Lamb and Cedric O'Boy. He also options for that job. Armstead remains on the PUP list, but is expected back for the start of the regular season. Also still on PUP, Needham and Tanner Connor. And Needham was working on the side Sunday. Running back Jeff Wilson, cornerback Keon Cross, and receiver Freddie Swain weren't spotted at practice. Wilson's absence was precautionary. There's no indication of anything serious. Crossan has an undisclosed injury. Swain is dealing with a minor medical issue. Cornerback Eli Apple, who agreed to terms on Saturday, was dressed on the field and wearing number 33. He received some defensive snaps on Sunday, and Jalen Phillips, who missed 2 practices with an undisclosed injury, was back on the field and wreaked havoc. He had a tackle for a 4-yard loss early in practice and then knocked down a Thompson pass. Then he sacked Tagovailoa. Defensive backs Brandon Jones and Trill Williams were in non-contact jerseys as the Dolphins continue to be cautious in their return from ACL injuries last season. Both practiced fully on Wednesday and some since. Kohu wore the orange jersey given to the best player in the previous day's practice. Rookie running back Devin Achane showed his speed with a long burst, then eluded a couple defenders for a touchdown in red zone drills. Linebacker David Long stuffed Chris Brooks at the line of scrimmage. Emmanuel Ogbah stuffed Myles Gaskin on a red zone run. Later, Ogbah had a coverage sack. Miami Hurricanes rookie Mitchell Goodyear had another sack and continues to flash. Rookie Elijah Higgins caught a short pass in red zone drills but couldn't get the ball in the end. A Tagovailoa throw to Hill was deflected by Higgins, who tried to catch it. He's going to need some time in his transition from college receiver to NFL tight end. Andrew Van Ginkel broke up a Thompson pass in the end zone. Van Ginkel said he's played both inside and outside linebacker. Ahmed continued to run after long contacted him on the sideline. That displeased a couple of defenders, but nothing escalated beyond a couple of shoves. Christian Wilkins applied pressure on Tagovailoa in a red zone drill, forcing a throwaway. Elijah Campbell had a good day in coverage against the run, and rookie Cam Smith broke up a low throw to Braylon Sanders. Tyreek Hill beat Noah Benogany on a short hitch route. Robbie Chosen beat Justin Bethel on a go route. Eric Zakama beat Cam Smith on a comeback route. Eazy-E made a diving catch and held on despite tight coverage from Smith. Hill gave Kodu a little stutter on a comeback, but Kodu, we saw this highlight, had great coverage and kept him stacked along the sideline. The pass was incomplete, and Tua threw to Izakama on a deep go touchdown to Tino Ellis. So there you go, man. Izakama got a touchdown too. Tua sharp, balling out, but two things I want to talk about here. First and foremost, I heard Emmanuel Ogbah looks like a freaking monster. He's been on the interior, and I've heard he looks fantastic right now. I heard Emmanuel Ogbah looks like he's in the best shape of his career, and he looks like he's playing like it on the field. Now, interesting story about Cam Smith today that I heard. I heard that Cam Smith and Tyreek Hill had a little bit of a battle where Tyreek Hill beat him one play, and then after that, Cam Smith started getting a little, all right, he's motivated, and Cam Smith started shutting Tyreek down a little bit there, and they started chirping back and forth. So I heard Cam Smith was out there today locking down the vets at certain times and chirping. And one thing I've told you I've heard since OTAs, I heard that Cam Smith, he's the type where if you beat him once, you're not going to beat him the same way twice. He learns really quickly. But I'm getting rave reviews about Kader Kohou and Cam Smith. Rave reviews about them right now. And apparently Cam Smith had that dog in him today and was chirping and was letting these boys know that I ain't messing around. I'm here. Shout out to 300 Egos. In my opinion, Eli Apple never reached his highest potential, but the man can play and hold his own at times. I agree, man. There's a reason why he's drafted so high. He's got talented. But, yeah, Kader Kohou and Cam Smith, man, that secondary, you know, I've been told that secondary, even without Ramsey, that secondary looks like it's going to get – it looks like it's going – this secondary looks like it's still going to be very formidable even without Ramsey. That's the word I got today, too. So we'll see how this continues to develop. But Emmanuel Ogbah looking like a stud, Kader and Cam looking like a stud, and Cam getting chirpy and choppy with Tyreek and some of our big receivers today because he just ain't afraid. Got that dog in him, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Beautiful stuff. Now, let's hop on in and see what the Sun Sentinel today. We got over 505 of you in the room. Please do me the favor. Smash the like button. We're going to go over a bunch of stuff here. We still got training camp to continue to recap. We're going to go over Tua on the NFL Network. I got that whole segment to play for you guys. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Isaiah Wynn and Jonathan Taylor a little bit here in a little bit. So let's keep it rolling. So, Sun Sentinel. Zach Thomas appearance, Eli Apple debut, fans in attendance, and his stock up, stock down. Miami Gardens fans were happy to see Zach Thomas, the Miami Dolphins Hall of Fame linebacker, but they were just as happy to see their 2023 Dolphins take the field for the first training camp open to fans. And they were treated some evenly matched offensive and defensive football, highlighted by quarterback Mike White hitting receiver Jalen Waddle on a well-thrown touchdown pass of about 40 yards past cornerback Bryce Thompson and safety Keydron Smith. Sunday's equal offensive matchup was significant because the defense pounded the offense Friday, which was the last practice with about 12 sacks. Eli Apple made his debut, and no, he didn't match up head-to-head with Tyreek Hill, which is noteworthy considering their public beef. Apple said Hill's locker's near his, and the two got along well on Sunday. His locker is literally right across from mine, so I saw him early in the day in the locker room, and we were chopping up a little bit at the breakfast table. It's all love. We're on the same team, all love. We'll see if that lasts through Monday's practice, which will be the first in pads. And here were some highlights for today. Kader Kohou, who wore the orange jersey, representative of the player who had the best previous practice, had a nice breakup against Cedric Wilson, and he figures to be elevated with Ramsey's injury. The offensive line, which was good in 11-11s, also had a good day in one-on-ones, including center guard Dan Feeney beating defensive tackle Brandon Pilley, Austin Jackson beating Mitchell Agudier, Robert Jones beating Josiah Bronson, and tackle Keon Smith beating defensive tackle Jalen Twyman. Rookie running back Devin Achane at 5'9", 188 pounds, continues to have success running between the tackles. Of course, pads come on Monday, so it might be a different story. We will see. Tua Tagovailoa hit Hill on a 40-yard completion with safety Elijah Campbell defending. The Tagovailoa to Hill connection, which was spotty the first few practices, is starting to heat up. Emmanuel Ogbah and Jalen Phillips had tackles for loss against running backs Raheem Mostert and Achane, respectively, in red zone drills. Phillips was also slowed the previous 2 practices by a left leg ailment, and he was full speed on Sunday. Van Ginkel, who had been relatively low-key at the early part of training camp, had a nice pass breakup and later stopped Mostert for no gain. Van Ginkel, a former edge rusher, is moving inside. The quarterbacks had a better day overall than Friday. Tagovailoa, White, and Skylar Thompson were all fairly sharp, which might have been the result of better pass protection. Tagovailoa had a sweet pump fake to get edge rusher Bradley Chubb in the air in a red zone drill, and then he hit Durham Smythe for a nice gain. Tagovailoa continues to show areas of growth, such as throwing the ball away or using his feet to sidestep a rush instead of hanging in the pocket and trying to make the hero play. Tagovailoa had 2 near interceptions, one on a ball that glanced off Campbell's hands, and another on a ball that glanced off rookie cornerback Cam Smith's hands. Liam Eichenberg I heard Eichenberg struggled, and they're saying Liam Eichenberg turned in a solid day, including a strong block on defensive lineman Zach Seiler that allowed Tagovailoa to complete a pass late in practice, and they said he's been playing well through 4 practices. Another guy we want to see the pads come on. Troy Williams and Brandon Jones wore red jerseys at Sunday's practice. That's a sign of progress. Both participated in individual drills, though neither did team drills. Still considering neither had done any drills previously, they're both getting closer to returning. Jeff Wilson, Keon Crossan, and Freddie Swain did not practice. And then obviously all the guys on the PUP were not there. Now, Needham was running on the sideline and appeared to be running harder than he had in previous practices. So the stock up for Chris Perkins, I apologize. After being obliterated Friday, the offensive line and pass protection is stock up, which includes tight ends and running backs, came strong on Sunday. Chubb and defensive lineman Christian Wilkins, who did a lot of trash talking, were fairly silent on Sunday. Stock down the red zone defense. The red zone offense operated effectively on both runs and passes. A good amount of Sunday's 11-11s was in the red zone and saw Mostert, Alec Ingold, and Salvin Ahmed excel at times. Ahmed had a nice block against Chubb, which allowed Tua Tagovailoa to hit wide receiver Cedric Wilson for a touchdown. So maybe that throw we showed in the back of the end zone might not have been a sack because no one here's mentioned that throw would have been a sack. So I guess, correct me, that must not have been a sack. Continuing on to the Palm Beach Post and what Hal Habib had to say. He said Sunday marked the first day fans could attend training camp this year. They turned out in big numbers and were fired up by Zach Thomas, who offered a quick pep talk with the microphone. And the highlights were Eli Apple wore number 33 when he practiced. Action heated up with the quarterbacks throwing to receivers who were matched up versus cornerbacks. Keep in mind, receivers have an edge in the drill. Players who stood out include Chosen, Sanders, Berrios, Izakama, and Xavier Howard. Apple lined up against Chosen on one play, but the ball was underthrown. Berrios made a catch despite Deshaun Elliott tugging his jersey. In 11-11, Mike White began hitting Jalen Waddle with a bomb against Keaton Smith and Bryce Thompson. It was good for about 45 yards. Tagovailoa's first play was that 71-yard touchdown against Elijah Campbell, and Skylar Thompson hit Berrios in traffic for a first down. Jalen Phillips blew up a run by Devin Achane, then egged on the crowd for cheers. In a red zone drill, Tagovailoa hit Alec Ingold. Raheem Mostert caught a TD lob. White threaded one to Myles Gaskin in the corner of the red zone. Salvin Ahmed continues to make nice run in team drills. The offense struggled with protection in last practice Friday, but for the most part was able to keep the quarterbacks protected. Coaches sent a message. The first practice following Jalen Ramsey's injury, Kohu, who likely will see increased playing time while Ramsey's out, wore the orange jersey. It represents the best player from the previous workout. And Ramsey watched practice from the terrace. So I will say this. It is very encouraging that we've seen now multiple reports giving props to our protection. Now, again, we don't know until the pads come on how real this is. But I'm just saying that is a good indication early on here. Let's hope they can continue this into when the pads come on because, again, I'll say like I've been saying for 3 years, this offense goes as far as the offensive line allows them to. All right. Now, continuing on from SI. The Dolphins practiced in front of their fans at the Baptist Health Training Complex for the first time this summer, with soon-to-be Hall of Famer Zach Thomas getting them all fired up with a pre-practice speech on the field. Players signed autographs after practice. There were chants of Tua at different times during practice, and from this vantage point, Tua jerseys dominated others in the stands. Isaiah Wynn practiced for the first time this summer after being activated off PUP, leaving just 3 players on that list, while Jeff Wilson, Freddie Swain, and Keon Crossan were out. Brandon Jones and cornerback Trill Williams each wore a red non-contact jersey and were kept out of team sessions. Kader Kohu wore the orange jersey as a top performer from the previous practice. After the defense completely, and we do mean completely, dominated practice Friday, the offense came out firing in the 11-11 sessions on this day. The very first play, we saw Mike White take a deep shot and hitting Jalen Waller across the field for about a 50-yard gain. White explained after practice that he went deep after seeing Kohu move up to cover Tyreek across the middle. Tagovailoa duplicated White's deep completion on his first 11-11 snap, in his case connecting with Hill on a similar deep crosser. For the record, Skylar Thompson's first pass in the team period was also a nice completion, but his was for about 15-20 yards over the middle to Braxton Berrios, who continues to do a great job of getting open. Though there were no takeaways by the defense, that unit took over the second half of practice after the offense dominated the first half. Linebacker Jalen Phillips again was a full participant in practice after being limited Friday, and he came away with a would-be tackle for a loss on a run by Achane, and he later deflected a pass at the line of scrimmage. The practice featured 11-11 in red zone drills, and the first involving red zone featuring nifty touchdown passes from Tua Tagovailoa to Raheem Mostert, and one from White to Myles Gaskin. On the play before his touchdown, Gaskin was met in the backfield on a run and play by Emmanuel Ogbah. Mitchell Agudier again was noticeable with at least one would-be sack and another pressure. Man, that kid continues to impress, eh? Should have mentioned earlier that newcomer Eli Apple not only practiced but took part in team drills. Apple did have man coverage on the sideline against Waller on one play and stayed with him pretty well on a Tua pass that was overthrown. Cam Smith had a pass breakup on a low throw that Braylon Sanders couldn't corral. And the second red zone session featured one touchdown pass, a 7-yard connection from Thompson to Hill, with Justin Bethel didn't turn around quickly enough to make the play. David Long had an active practice, which included meeting Moser at the line of scrimmage on those red zone snaps. The last play of practice ended with Tua throwing a completion to Cedric Wilson in the end zone, but that came long after the snap and after Bradley Chubb got close. So there you go. They're the first ones to point out that might have been a sack, the Cedric Wilson throw, right? So there's your first little indication that that might have been a sack. Now, first of all, Jalen Phillips. I mean, we keep hearing great things about Jalen Phillips. Whether it was OTAs and now, I mean, you just can't help but sit here and say that kid's about to take the step. Jalen Phillips. Man, he looks like a player in camp that's about to take a step. And Mitchell Agudier continuing to impress everyone. I absolutely love it with Mitchell Agudier. And let's talk about this for a second. Robbie chosen. What's happening here? Braxton Berrios is making noise every day. Robbie and even Eric Zakama is making noise almost every day. But Robbie Chosen, here and there you hear about him, but he's not making a ton of noise like Braxton Berrios is. He really isn't. So that'll be interesting to see how that all unfolds because, if you were to ask me based off what I'm hearing, Braxton sounds like he's pulling, like he might be leading the way in that wide receiver 3 spot, but we'll see. All right, let's get into Tua and his let's let's get into what he said on the NFL Network today. It's about 7 minutes long, so here we go.
Passer rating. He led the NFL in yards per attempt. He led the NFL in completion percentage, and he is our live guest here, live on NFL Plus, Tua Tagovailoa. Good to see you. Scott Hansen in Los Angeles. How are you, Tua?
Doing good. Thank you guys for having me.
Appreciate you taking some time after the workout here. How was the Sunday practice? How'd it go? Well, besides the home run shot that you punctured a cloud with that shot right there, and Tyreek was able to track it down. Had to feel good?
Yeah, I think for the most part it went pretty good. We don't have all the guys that we wish could be out there that the fans could see, but for the most part it's very exciting. We enjoyed it. The fans enjoyed it. Hearing those accolades, that I'm still kind of trying to process all the things you said in the beginning of this.
It's all the things you did to us last year.
That was a little much. That was a little much introducing me onto this, but I appreciate it.
I'll make you blush. The heat's already making you hot in the face there, so I'll make you blush. It's no big deal. Well, look at your season was a tale of two seasons. When you were out there, it was you had a scalpel out there and you were going to town. But obviously there was a lot of attention about the times that you couldn't be out there. We know you're 100% right now. I would just like to ask you, what is your confidence level that you'll be able to stay healthy as much as you can control it here in 2023?
Yeah, as you said, as much as I can control it, I believe my confidence level is 100%. I think I've done all that I could this offseason to prepare, to train for things that could happen, could come up during the season. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. As much as you prepare, there's freak accidents that could still happen and things like that. So I would tell you, I feel 100%, feel very confident in knowing that my preparation this offseason is going to help me going into this season as far as injuries are concerned.
Okay, and I just want to follow up on this. I know you are a team guy. You're not a me guy, but fans around the NFL want to know specifically what you did in the offseason, and we've heard either jiu-jitsu or judo, and something about transferring energy to the ground. Can you give us 30 seconds, 60 seconds on what you did to try and avoid those head impacts?
Yeah, I did some jiu-jitsu this offseason. We did it throughout training camp, and then I did a couple of the classes as far as falling this summer. And so what it entails is basically teaching you how to fall. There's correct ways to fall, just like how there's correct ways to throw a ball, just like there's correct ways to do anything, that you're trying to learn. So that's basically what it was. And outside of that, learning your body position, understanding your body more, sort of getting more flexible. You got to stretch a lot. Did some yoga as well this off season. So I would say outside of, all of that, just been really, really preparing my body for whatever the season is going to entail for us to stay healthy.
Well, I know I speak for a lot of NFL observers and fans and saying that...
Guys, over 500 you have in the room. Smash that like button.
I never have to ask you, or you never have to answer any other questions about that, and that we get that number one highest rated passer in the NFL, Tua, for 17 games plus playoffs, should that come up. All right, Tua, let's move on to your targets here. You got a taste last year, and the NFL bared witness to what it's like to drop back to pass and to have Tyreek Hill running up one sideline and have Jalen Waddle running up another sideline and all the other speed on this offense. How dangerous could you guys be here in year two with all the weapons and coaching staff that you now have?
I think we can be really dangerous. I say that because this is the second time or the second year we're here as an offense together, not learning a different playbook, understanding where these guys are going to be, them understanding where they need to be. Also, the communication level, it's taken to another level because the comfortability of us knowing the offense. And so I would say it's those guys getting each other open and those guys getting everyone else open. And then also with the run game and the pass game, marrying up with each other.
I know it's a cerebral game and you have to lock in and be focused, but is it fun sometimes to have a play called in the huddle and just know that one of these two 98s, 99 speeds in Madden guys is just going to roast the other guy on the other sideline or on the other side of the line of scrimmage?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it gets really exciting. Not knowing who's going to get the ball in whatever coverage we're given on that specific play. But I think what's also really, really exciting is outside of those guys, if you check it down to one of our backs, it could also be an explosive. If you check it down to one of the tight ends, it could also be an explosive in that sense too, just because of the worry of the deep ball with those two going out for pass. And they open everyone up, but it definitely is exciting when you get a play and you know that play is going to go for a big one.
We started off the interview, and you mentioned that not everyone that Dolphins fans would like to see out there is out there. I'm maybe gathering that that's an allusion to Jalen Ramsey and the unfortunate injury that he just suffered and which required surgery. Is going to keep him out for an extended period of time. He hasn't been there for very long, but it sounds like he had an impactful message to the team post-injury. Can you share a little bit with us on that? I don't violate any confidences, but this has sort of come out in public that he addressed the team, and tell us what that was like and what it means to the guys.
Yeah, he did address the team, and you're exactly right. That's exactly who I was referring to in my first statement. But as he addressed the team, he spoke on him wanting to address the team and not the team finding out from any other source or anyone else. And as he did that, he poured his heart out. Said what he wanted to say, the expectation that he had as he came into the team, and then the expectation he has for the team now that he's been able to practice with the team. But to hear him speak in front of the guys, you can tell what kind of leader he is, the kind of person that he is. And it's a bummer that we're not going to have him for, a good amount of games. But our prayers are out for him. He understands that we're all thinking of him. We're praying for him. And he knows what he has to do to get back out there on the field as well.
Tua Tagovailoa, I appreciate you so much, man. And look, I say go have a great season, except if you go out and have a great season, I'm going to have to interview you at this point 365 days from now saying maybe, number one in passer rating, number one in touchdowns, number one in completion percentage, and maybe Super Bowl champion Tua Tagovailoa someday. I know that's the goal.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Let's
That's
get
the goal
it.
for all of those.
Tua, have a great, safe camp,
Thank
man.
you.
Can't wait to see you week 1 in September. Thanks, bud.
Yep. Appreciate it, boss. Thanks.
How do you not love that man? How do you not? I love my quarterback. That's all I got to say. Shout out to the finisher for joining the all-pro level. James Jordan upgraded to the Hall of Fame. And James Steele, he just joined the Hall of Fame as well. Appreciate all of you for supporting the channel. Oh, man, let's go, baby. How can you not? Great to, this team rallying around Ramsey. We've seen it turn up at practice, how this team was rallying around him. So, I mean, absolutely fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff as we move forward. Let's continue on here. So, I had to go over this, Ardo, because everyone knows this was a training camp battle I've been talking about forever. And shout out to Johnny Badillo for joining the Pro Bowl. This is a training camp I've been talking about forever. And here we go. Some news and notes from Barry Jackson. And it's the intriguing battle to be Tagovailoa's backup unfolding and personnel notes. The contract that the Dolphins gave Mike White in the first hour of free agency strongly suggested Miami envisioned him as the number 2 quarterback, but White said Sunday that the Dolphins told him no such thing. We really didn't get too much into that. 5 months later, Skylar Thompson's strong start to training camp suggests the matter's far from resolved. Remember, I reported on the Patreon that I've heard since the end of OTAs, he's been getting the majority of the number 2 snaps. Now, I haven't got any report today on who got the majority of the number 2 snaps, but the first 3 practices and a little bit at the end of OTAs, I was hearing Skylar Thompson was getting the majority of the number 2 snaps. So Thompson, the second-year player who started the Dolphins playoff game in Buffalo, because Tagovailoa and Teddy Bridgewater were injured, appears to be getting every opportunity to legitimately challenge White for the number 2 job. Because of his contract and a few very good games as a Jet, White will be considered the front runner unless the Dolphins actually do something that says otherwise. White sidestepped when asked if he believes the number 2 job is his or whether he believes he's immersed in a battle with Thompson. Come week 1, when they explain it to us, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. White has been uneven in May and June practices in the first 4 days of training camp, mixing strong throws with off-target ones. He made his best throw of camp on the first play of 11-11 work Sunday when he found Jalen Waddle on a 50-yard sideline pattern. In red zone drills, he also lofted a beautiful throw to Gaskin in the corner of the end zone for a 10-yard touchdown, beating Tyndall. But then he overthrew an open Waddle on a deep throw and was errant on a few other throws. Asked to evaluate his work back to May practices, White said, "There's some good and some I can improve on. A lot of it is learning the guys and learning the offense. Shoot, this is only day 4 of camp." Neither White nor Thompson has an interception in 11-11 drills through for the first 4 days of camp. Thompson had a 70-yard touchdown pass to Braxton Berrios on Friday. What about White's skill set fits McDaniel's offense? Distributing the ball and getting the ball to the guys accurately with yards after the catch angles, he said. That's what Tua does at such a high level. The Dolphins on Sunday practiced in front of fans for the first time, and that stirred memories for White, who grew up in Broward County and attended Dolphins training camp practice at Nova Southeastern as a youngster. I was telling the quarterbacks walking out, hearing fans, that was me when I was a young kid going to the Davie campus and going to practices and watching them. Hell, I got to meet freaking Zach Thomas on Sunday. If you told 12-year-old Mike White that he got to meet Zach Thomas, he would lose his mind. The whole being back home was really cool. White made a point to introduce himself to Thomas, who greeted the crowd with a rousing speech on Sunday, a week before he's inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I said, "My name is Mike. I'm a big fan." He knew who I was. That threw me off. He said, "I was going to talk to you last year when you were all down here with New York and you were talking to your family." I said, "Listen, we don't know each other, but you can always interrupt me whenever I'm talking to anyone." It was really, really cool. This and that, Jalen Phillips, who missed Thursday and Friday practices with an injury sustained in the opening minutes of camp, returned Sunday and was disruptive. With a sack, a tackle for a loss, and a pass deflection, he achieved his primary goal after his rookie season, improving against the run and earning enough trust from the coach to become an every down player. His goal heading into year 3, turning those pressures into sacks. That's the biggest thing. Obviously, the numbers don't show the big picture, and I'm not chasing numbers, but ultimately, the more sacks I have, the better it is for the team. Phillips has 8.5 sacks as a rookie and 7 last year, but his quarterback pressures jumped from 39 to 77. The Dolphins will practice in shoulder pads for the first time on Monday, and that will provide a bigger test for Devin Achane, who, like Salvon Ahmed, has looked fast and explosive during the first 4 days of camp. Achane and running backs coach Eric Studesville studied his Texas A&M tape together. Pass protection is something they have me working on every day. People think because of my size I won't get in there and block, but he sees my tape and knows I'm capable of doing it. Jeff Wilson was held out of practice on Sunday for precautionary reasons. It's not considered to be anything serious. Besides officially signing back cornerback Eli White, the Dolphins removed guard tackle Isaiah Wynn from the PUP list. As well, who's hot for Barry Jackson? Several defenders had good days. Elijah Campbell had a good day to him. Linebacker David Long had a good day to him. Phillips, Cam Smith, Wilkins, and Tagovailoa to Tyreek was good. Who's not hot? Keidron Smith, who received $125,000 guaranteed from the Dolphins after a nice college career at Mississippi and Kentucky, where he often blanketed receivers, and he said he's had some rough moments. Tomorrow's practice begins at 10 a.m., open to the public. Pads are on. Let's go. And the quote of the day, how fast our guys are able to cross the formation, still be able to get to those 20, 25-yard routes within the time of the plays is absurd. I've never seen anything like it. We look like a freaking 4x4 team, Mike White said regarding the speed of the offense. That's absolutely hilarious. Again, over 500 even in the room. Please do me the favor. Please smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. So there you go. That battle is heating up. It was a good day, and the battle is heating up. You love to see it. You really, really do, man. It's good, good stuff. All right. Now, Isaiah Wynn. He's off the PUP list. What could his potential role be? Well, Dolphins regained potential starting offensive lineman Isaiah Wynn, a veteran who's expected to compete for a starting offensive lineman role at left guard for the Miami Dolphins, has finally joined the team for training camp practices. Isaiah Wynn, who started 40 of 43 games he played since the New England Patriots selected him in the first round of the 2018 draft, was taken off the PUP list on Sunday. That clears a newcomer who was signed to a one-year deal worth $2.1 million to join the team for practices, which means offensive tackle Terron Armstead is the only lineman being held out of the sessions. Armstead had his right knee scoped in the offseason when he will likely be held out of training camp practice for a couple more weeks. However, it's unlikely that the 32-year-old will participate in any of the offseason games because the Pro Bowler hasn't done that for years, going back to his tenure in New Orleans. What will Wynn's role be? As for Wynn, whose injury wasn't disclosed, he'll likely serve as a left side swing player, meaning left tackle and left guard spot. There's also a possibility that the 27-year-old could play right tackle, possibly challenging Austin Jackson for the starting role. During the first week of camp, the Dolphins had Kendall Lamb, Cedric Ogbuehi, Jaron Christensen, and Keon Smith rotating in and out of the left tackle and right tackle spot. Miami's trying to identify who will be the best swing tackle for the 53-man roster. At this point, it's unclear if Wynn will enter the swing tackle mix or if he'll compete with Liam Eichenberg for the starting left guard spot. Based on Miami's history, it's possible that Wynn will be held out of 11-11 work, so don't expect to have an immediate clarification on his potential role. Armstead, Tanner Connor, and Nick Needham were still left on the PUP list. So I think he's going to be competing at left guard. If you ask me what the deal is there, I think he's going to be competing at left guard. And I think he'll be a potential swing at left tackle. He offers you both. He can start or swing at left guard, and then he can start or swing at left tackle. So he offers you both. So personally, the way I see it playing out, I think he's going to be competing for the job at left guard and the backup job at left tackle. And Omar's right. They're going to keep him out for a bit. So, well, hey, they might surprise us tomorrow and throw him out there with pads on. It depends on how serious the injury was. So, we'll see how that works out. And finally, look at this. A Bleacher report. Top NFL trade packages for Jonathan Taylor after Colts running back requests move. Dolphin fans, I want to know in the chat, would you do this? Because they have the Miami Dolphins on this list. They said Colts receive 2024 second-round pick and Myles Gaskin for Jonathan Taylor. It says Miami Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel didn't shy away from a question about the team's interest in free agent running back Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is a great player, he said to reporters. I look at it like if it works on both sides, if it makes sense for somebody. You're adding a player to a team and an organization and all the things they both need to be met for it to work. Raheem Mostert would welcome Cook with open arms. Clearly, the Dolphins are at least interested in Cook, but they've yet to look elsewhere for a top-tier ball carrier if the New York Jets seal the deal with the four-time Pro Bowl running back at the conclusion of the meeting. Mostert and fellow Dolphins running back Jeff Wilson have ties to McDaniel from the time in San Francisco, but neither of the two has registered more than 181 carries in a single season. Also, Mostert struggled to stay healthy before the 2022 term. And look at Jeff Wilson's already struggling to stay healthy right now, and we're in training camp. Taylor can run the ball 200-plus times to balance Miami's offensive attack, which ranked 25th in rushing yards last season. If the Dolphins have concerns about quarterback Tagovailoa's durability with his extensive injury history, then they should inquire about Taylor, who can carry an offense in a workhorse rushing role. Because Myles Gaskin has fallen behind Mostert and Wilson and potentially Salvon Ahmed on the depth chart, Miami should include him in the trade. He racked up 1,818 yards and 12 touchdowns from scrimmage between 2020 and 2021. He's capable of filling some of the void in the Colts backfield if they trade Taylor. As for the Dolphins, they have $13.5 million in cap space, which is enough to give an immediate pay raise to satisfy Taylor for this year. Again, I know there's interest. I know I'm not going to go into details until I do my 3 takes video for all of y'all. Patreon.com/Phinside The NFL. And we'll go into that, and I'll really, we'll get into the details of that. But, a second and Myles Gaskin along, and then you got to turn around and pay him resetting the market type of money. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. It really is. So, I don't know. Anyways, guys, there's over 510 of you in the room. Please do me the favor. Smash the like button. I'm going to get out of here. Again, here's the deal. If you're a Patreon or a channel member, if you're a channel member, head to the community tab. If you're a Patreon, head over to the Patreon. I'm doing 2 fantasy leagues. I just got payment. 1 league is already filled up, meaning there's only 11 spots remaining. Patrons and channel members, it is open to you. First come, first serve. Until tomorrow, when I go live, if there's spots remaining, I will open it to the public as well to fill the spots. So I just got the finishers payment, I believe. So I'm going to be sending invites to the first league out tonight because that's full. And then the second league, hey, we're ready to start filling that up. All right? So still over 510 of you in the room. Please do me the favor. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. Taylor Cook. Cook's cheaper, guys. And it's 5:30 and there's no deal struck yet. And I got a sneaking suspicion he's leaving New York without a deal. And if he leaves New York without a deal, things are going to get real interesting. Anyways, guys, look out for a 3 Takes Patreon update coming tonight for all of y'all on Cook, on Taylor, on a lot. And I will see all of y'all in the next one. Fins up all day, every day, baby. See you tomorrow, guys.